Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode with Two Comma Coffee Club. I am Michelle and I'm with my cohorts Lene and Valerie. And we have a very special guest. I would love to welcome our wonderful friend Jerry Emeka, aka Jamaica, speaker and teacher of Neville. He has a Facebook page called Imaginarium, which you must go and follow. You can also find Jerry on Clubhouse. He is also renowned for his music mindset monologues and is a wonderful teacher of the imposter syndrome. Welcome, Jerry.
Yes.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're
always
happy
interesting.
you're here, Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. I haven't necessarily like spoken to the three of you in depth or anything like that, but I'm very aware of y'all. I've been aware of y'all for a while because we share a common mentor together. So I'm glad to share my insights with you all.
That's great. I remember because 20 has mentioned you from the beginning, so that was really great. And it's so cool, when you show up at his FIR show. And so it's really great that, I find the longer I'm in this, the more I'm connected, we're all connecting with people who were names before, but we didn't really know each other. So it just kind of makes it feel closer and more accessible. So that part is lots of fun. So we're going to be talking about today the bridge. Incident.
Bridge.
So let's get it, because this is not an area, mostly as you were saying, it's very common as we do to talk about living from the end, from the wish or the desire being fulfilled. And it's true that not a lot of people, but there is a bridge of incidents. And it's true that not a lot of people who teach Neville's work or manifesting work get too much into that. So I think it is very good to hear the perspective that you have to share with our audience on what that's about.
Yeah.
The
bridge of incident is it's essentially the occurrence of things that are happening between A and Z, right? So it's the steps that you have to take in between, or the lack of steps that you have to take in between. Between the desire and the manifestation, between the planting of the acorn and the 100-year-old oak tree. It has to go through a series of events that will lead to the fulfillment of the desire, right? You have Genesis to Revelation in the Bible. The whole Bible is the bridge of incident, if you will. And the bridge of incidents has all sorts of things, from the furnaces of affliction to the warring beliefs and the shedding of old self and all these things that occur. When y'all asked me to do this and you were like, oh, what topic would you want to talk about? I said it was like bridge of incident. That's what I was telling Michelle.
Cool.
And the reason why is because I am currently walking a very treacherous bridge. And I've been studying Neville. I've been studying Neville for I think it's been 7 years, 6 or 7 years. And when I first started, I found it to just be, it's like, this is great. This is a great thing to know and all this stuff. But then when I really got serious about it and started trying to say, this is the life I want to live and this is how I want to operate in the world, things started changing for me. And I started imagining difficulty. And I started imagining plateaus, and I started imagining it works for me in some things, but it doesn't work for me in other things.
Yes.
And right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get that.
Yeah. So it's like we're kind of imagining or deciding that it works here, it doesn't work here.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something else, and that's
right.
what starts to happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And the bridge that I've walked that's gotten me here to this point has taken me, I've strayed. I've gone and like tried to find other modalities. I've joined workshop groups and all these things and self-development modalities and all these things, and I'll get to them and then I'll do them and then I'll be like, why the hell did I do that? That was a waste of time and energy. Like, and then I come back and I always end up coming back to Neville and coming back to self.
Full circle.
It always ends up coming back to me. And then I find myself astray. I was like, this isn't enough. I'm not doing it right, or something like that. And I find myself coming back again, back to self.
Because we like to make it hard. We're used to things being hard.
Right.
Struggle.
And so I delve off of Neville. I did delve off of Neville because I thought it actually couldn't be that easy. When you surrender to it, it is easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's habit, right? So
yeah,
bringing it back to the bridge. Now, 20 is actually really good at explaining this. It's like, how can you make this easy? I mean, if you're going to have to walk a bridge, how can you make it easy for yourself? Sure, you have to take certain actions. You have to do certain things. Like if I'm going to travel to Australia, I have to have a passport. I mean, sure, I could imagine that I could imagine
over there
that I could just get over there and somehow, some way, some dude just comes in and is like, yeah, I'll just hop on my charter plane and we get there and we don't have to deal with the passport. But how am I like, I'm just imagining difficulty, right? I'm imagining the how. That's another thing. But I'm walking this bridge right now where I shouldn't say trying, but I'm manifesting something that's easy. I'm manifesting a life that's super easy and barely an inconvenience. That's the way I'm calling it. The state of super easy, barely an inconvenience. But the interesting thing about this bridge is that I find difficulty and I'm finding inconveniences, and perhaps that's part of the bridge, because then I look at it and then I have something to revise. That's one thing that I notice, is that, it gives me something to revise. So I can have more wins and easier times down the road. But I also have to notice that it's like, perhaps this bridge is just what it is. This is just, what I have to walk down in order to get to where it is that I'm going. And the only one who's making it difficult, the only one who's making it hard, the only one who's complaining along the walk is me. And even as we're talking right now, I'm just thinking of a post that a friend of mine, I don't know if she's a friend of y'all's, Liz Luna, she just posted about Moses walking through the desert for 40 years. And then there was an image of Google Maps of how it takes 6 days to walk from Egypt to Israel. It takes 6 days, which is a ridiculously short amount of time. I'm like, oh, okay, 6 days. And so my comment on her was just like, yeah, it's because everybody on the trip had to stop to use the bathroom and look at the sights.
Yeah,
right.
It's like there's like, the reason why it took so long is because we got in our own way.
Yeah.
The reason why the bridge was so difficult is because we imagined that it was difficult. Why can't we imagine that it's easy?
Neville says no one to change but self. That's it.
Exactly.
Because you're everything. So how is anything going to change? And who else actually said? Michael Jackson, when he wrote the song about the man in the mirror.
Yes.
Look at yourself and make a change. That he kind of had that kind of, he knew more than we think he knew. So I think that, that he was on it. He was really on that. Yeah.
Don't even get me started on MJ, man. If y'all want a dissertation, I'll go in. But MJ knew a lot more than he was letting on. I'm very certain the man was a master manifester. I'd even dare say that he might have even seen The Promise. I don't remember who it was that was talking about this. It might have been Neville. No, it was Lyndall Warden. He was saying, it's like, once you figure it out, you were compelled to tell the story. you have your own way of telling that story. It might be creating art, it might be teaching, it might just be making music, it might just be raising your family. Either way, you have some way of expressing it. And so
Ooh, I love
Neville obviously had his voice, and that's how he shared the message. But there are musicians out there that sing songs, and something in me is like, this person, this isn't just a pop song. There's something going on here that you're not letting on. And if you listen to MJ and any of his albums, especially Dangerous, that which is his third album, a lot of the songs on that album are very Neville, right? It's like, keep the faith, will you be there, you are not alone.
I love that one.
Of course, Man in the Mirror, which is on the Bad album. You know, and a lot of those songs, I'm like, if you really listen, and the way he's like convicted in singing it, you're like, you know something that you're not telling us. Like, do you remember the time is one of his songs.
He's coming from a state. That's what it is, isn't he?
Exactly. But you know, totally, really over every era, every generation, going back and all the way back, there has been a figure who was able to do that, who spoke in the terms of the time they were in, but who, you know, said things that if you broke them out, were those things, even going back to nursery rhymes and to other things, you know, merrily row your boat gently down the street, that whole thing.
Life is but a dream.
Life is but a merrily, life is but a dream. So and then you have the things that Shakespeare, certain things that come out of Shakespeare. You know, there is neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. So and many other things that were said in Shakespeare. So in every era, that voice has spoken through certain people who were opened up enough to receive that information and get it out there.
Get it out there,
you know, it wasn't just, it wasn't simply limited to the times of the Bible, to the Old and the New Testament.
Yeah. Well, and the reason for that is, imagination is always talking to imagination. We're in the middle of we're not having a dialogue, we're having a soliloquy. So my imagination is talking to yours, or my subconscious is speaking to your subconscious, which is one super conscious, right? Everybody's playing their part. As you bring up Shakespeare, you know, all the world's a stage, but we are merely players. That idea is to say that everybody in this world has to play the part that they're playing in order for you to be wherever it is that you are, and wherever it is that you're going, and wherever it is that you came from, right? So it doesn't really matter what era it is, whether it was William Blake, as Neville is always quoting, right? Or C.S. Lewis. Was it C.S. Lewis who did Alice in Wonderland?
Lewis.
No, did Narnia. He was Narnia.
No, Narnia, right? Narnia.
Carol.
It was Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll. Sorry, yeah. Lewis Carroll, Mark Twain. Although I don't know if he saw the promise, but he understood the law.
Love Mark
Twain. You know, you had right now somebody I'm studying is Charles Fillmore, who wrote the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which, by the way, if you have not read that book, it's very thick. You should read it. A lot of it talks about basically every character in the Bible and the states and what they actually are.
Oh, that would really interest me.
I actually looked that up because I named my two boys biblical names, Elijah and Micah, and I wanted to know where that came from and why I chose that. So I find it, and then my boyfriend, his first name is Jeremiah. He goes by Chase, but our next child, if it's a boy, we plan to name Jeremiah Chase. So that will be 3 of my kids with biblical names. So I find it very interesting that I was drawn to that, and I looked in that dictionary about it. And I have my notes somewhere. I don't remember what it said, but yeah, like I remember I specifically was like, this is very interesting that I chose those names and who those characters played. And Micah was very fitting for my son Micah. So I thought, oh my gosh, I really was like onto something here. But yes, it's awesome.
Well, Jeremiah, I'll say this. My name is Jerry. I was named after my grandfather, who was Jeremiah. So I definitely looked into that. And Jeremiah actually refers to God as Jah. And so it's the consciousness, or it's consciousness exalted. It's the exalted one. And you can dive deeper in all that stuff, because man, I'm a metaphysician to the T, to where I'm just studying and trying to understand it the best way I can, and so I can apply it as best I can. But that's also in the complication mode. I'm also in simple mode, and like my whole thing is trying to simplify the mystical, or demystify the mystical. And I believe that that's what my calling is to share what I've come to know and bring that out. And it's so interesting that my name is Jerry, right? My name literally is like calling God, right? It's Jah. It is what it is. And here I am living that to the T. And then my last name is Emeka, which is actually just a shortened version of my full middle name, which is Chukwu Emeka, which means God did well, or God's doing well. And
that's a message for you. You feel God.
Beautiful.
So my parents definitely named me God. And
right, that's the new name now. There's no Jamaica, it's God.
God. We have 2020 and God over here.
Exactly. It's perfect. And I'm Michelle, which is Michael, and Michael is God's right hand man, and we are 20s angels.
Nice.
Exactly.
So we totally diverted. I don't know if y'all want to keep going the direction we're going. I mean, I'm loving this conversation.
I've got a question, because as you were talking, I was thinking about bridges. Because we're on our way to manifesting an end, would that therefore mean that we are always consistently walking a bridge?
What does that mean? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So we're all. Is that right? We're always walking a bridge.
Right. We are always walking a bridge. We're always walking a bridge. There's always something you desire, whether it's like breakfast. You're gonna walk a bridge to get you breakfast, and you're walking a bridge to your last breath. You're walking a bridge until you've experienced the promise. You're walking a bridge. You're always walking a bridge. Now, here's the interesting thing about walking the bridge, and this is what I'm still trying to figure out myself about bridge walking, is that you never really know what the next step is, or I should say 2 steps is. You only know what the next step is, and even that you don't know. So it's like, how can you play more as you're walking the bridge? You have to walk a bridge, that's assuming that you're a conscious manifester. You know that you're walking a bridge. So what are you doing to enjoy yourself as you're walking the bridge? Are you fighting it? Are you kicking and screaming? Are you making it frustrating? Or are you being curious? Exactly, Michelle. Are you being curious? Are you having fun? Are you actually listening to your intuition that says, walk this way? Are you being expansive in the walk, or are you being contracted? Are you finding yourself limiting yourself and worrying and doubting? Are you taking steps that you know that you should make? Or are you being like, no, I'm not going to do that because Neville said don't do anything? And again, I'll say this. That's also the crazy thing is that's also part of the bridge.
Exactly. Yeah. Just depends on what
you're doing is the bridge.
It was Rilke, the poet, Rainer Maria. I don't know if it's Maria or Maria. I would say it's sort of on the feminine side. Rilke, the German poet, who pretty much said, love the questions. Those are incredible questions. Love that, because you're going to have days when there's more. The answer to all the questions can be just something really, really simple, really clear that was there that you didn't see, you know. And then he said, you know, love the questions themselves, and eventually you will love your way to the answer. Because if you come from that place of openness and love, that you then can, you allow for something to come in there that's going to show you. You have to come from your awareness too. You know, we sort of think, well, is the answer here? Is the answer here? And today I feel like there's no answers at all. It's all like, my hair's on fire and I'm running, you know, and it's like my life is one big bad hair day and I don't know what to do. But it's more than that, you know, because sometimes the answer is really right there. You know, the treasure was under the board and the floor and you didn't even know, you know. So it's really something that you're sitting very close to. It's really there all the time. So it's being able to walk and then pause enough to allow that space to happen, for that to come to you so that you see it.
So long as you don't kind of get stuck there, because say you're walking a bridge, say one of the panels on that bridge broke and your foot went through, you don't want to stay there and get stuck. It's good to notice where you are so that you can take the next step forward. You don't want to remain holding on to the side for dear life and being too afraid to take the next step. It's kind of like we learned. Did you do DDD, Jerry?
I have.
Yeah. Well, right now in D-Day we're looking at Curious Mouse, and you know, if you're Curious Mouse, then you're going to take a peek out of your hole. And you're going to want to go explore, you want to go play, you want to get from A to B. How are you going to get there? And you're never going to know until you leave your hole.
Right. So I'll say this: what you're looking, and this is to say what Valerie's saying. Hi, Poppy, how's it going? What you're looking for is looking for you. This is to reference what Valerie was saying. What you're looking for is looking for you. So if that's the case, you need to do something. Just do something with the assumption that it's already done. So anything that you're doing is towards the fulfillment. So do something, right? So, you know, if you're, let's make it real simple. So, you know, the good day method from Greg Markovich, right? Where you wake up in the morning and you imagine that your day went better than ever, right? Well, let's just take that as the example of your ultimate desire for the beginning of your day, that you had an awesome day. Well, you're going to walk a bridge of incident. You're not exactly sure what you're going to be doing that day. You know, you're going to eat breakfast. You know, you're probably going to eat lunch. You're probably going to hang out with your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend. But there's so many other things that just you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, right? And those right there is what I truly believe is the bridge. It's the things you don't know. It's the things you can't control. How are you showing up for the things that show up? And how are you showing up for the things that show up? How can you assume that the thing that's showing up in front of you is something you called, right? Everything that's showing up for you in your world came through you, not to you. You aren't, you know, so that's the question. Is like, how are you walking the bridge? Are you walking the bridge and being like, oh, it's so treacherous and it's like crazy? Or are you walking the bridge being like, all right, so it's treacherous. All right, great. This is what it's supposed to be. It's your reaction to it. It's your reaction to the bridge. Another thing I want to say about the bridge is I used to play video games all the time, and my favorite game was The Legend of Zelda. My favorite game ever is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And there's this level in the game where you can't see the ground. And the only time you'll ever see the ground is when you take one step forward. And like, it's a whole maze. It's a whole crazy maze. And you have to like take a step. And if you take the step, you like, and it's the wrong step, you fall off. But as video games are, you always end up coming back to the beginning.
Yep.
And you just have to
Respawn.
walk again and respond and know that, okay, this time I'm not going to go this way. And you go this way. And you go this way. You fell off again. Go back to the beginning.
You've learned your lesson.
Again. And you've learned your lesson, but you still have to walk the bridge. Like you still won't be able to see what's in front of you until you take the step. Now, once you've done that level a number of times, you know the pattern, right? Neville talks about the pattern, man. Once you know the pattern, you can be like, oh, okay, cool. I do this, boom, boom, bap, boom, boom. And then now you have this thing that's working for you as opposed to against you. And you're not walking that bridge all treacherously. So when I first was, like trying to consciously manifest, I was stepping in being like, am I doing it right?
Yeah.
And I fail and I fall and I get back up and all this stuff. And I still struggle with it. I still have these times when I'm just like, man, what the fuck am I doing? I'm crazy. This is crazy.
So
you moved to Hawaii without a home or a car with the family.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I look at my pattern and I'm like, dude, Jerry, you've done this before. Only difference is you have 2 other people with you. That's the only difference. And really, when you took those leaps of faith before, when you didn't know you knew what the end was. You just didn't know how you were going to get there.
Right.
How are you being, and how would you have rather been in those times? Oh, I would have rather done it a little bit more smoothly with a little bit more knowing. Okay, great. Do it now. Walk the bridge now with that same state of consciousness, where this time you know that you're going to get there, so just walk confidently.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So y'all all had the pattern, whether it was a quote unquote failure before. You've had the pattern. Go and look at the pattern. You've already walked bridges. How did you walk those bridges? Okay. Did you?
I think you've got to fail. You've got to fail to know that you're then getting it right.
Bridges of incident.
And that it doesn't have to be a struggle. Like I did a Cadillac Escalade. Like I'm like, that's my next car. I'm for sure getting that. And then what happens? I find out I'm pregnant with my 4th child. So I'm like, oh shit, now I have to get a huge SUV like that with a 3rd row. Like I have no other option now. Did I know that was going to be my bridge?
That's a really extreme bridge.
I know.
To get a bigger car.
But hey, that's how it's going to be apparently. So
yeah, you wanted that Escalade, and perhaps there was a part of you that was just like, yeah, but do I really need an Escalade and this and the other? And then you got your answer. It's like, all right, fine, maybe.
Yeah, now it's a need. I need this. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was so funny. I'm like, holy crap, because I saw someone else had wanted a new car and their husband wrecked their car. So then they had to, right? And then I was like, well, crap, I don't want to wreck my car in order to get that. Oh, so I get pregnant instead. Like that's my bridge. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I was listening to your conversation that you were having. Was it with Jen Kurtstetter? And you were saying how you're really good at manifesting things you don't want.
Jen Miller, yeah.
Jen Miller,
yeah.
And
that's right.
I know her as both. Sorry,
of course.
Sorry, Jen, if you're listening.
Oh, and, so the audience, if they're looking back for they didn't get.
Oh, got it. Yeah, Coach Jen.
Coach Jen. Yeah.
Coach Jen, yeah. And what was the episode called that we did with her?
The to-do list, getting rid of the to-do list.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the
symptoms or states.
Yeah. Right. Was it that episode, or was it the episode that y'all did about? There was one where y'all talked about. Y'all ended up talking about domestic violence and stuff like that. I don't remember which episode that was.
Oh, that would have been Lene.
We didn't have a guest then, did we?
Maybe
no, it was just the 3 of y'all. It was a wonderful conversation. Yeah. But what I was picking up was that it's like Lene had said something that was just like, oh man, she's so right. Why is it so much easier for us to manifest things that we're just like, you're watching TV or you're overhearing a conversation, you're just like, oh man, I would hate it if that happened to me. And then 3 days later, it happens, right?
Because
that's
you're
what it
not
was.
conscious of it.
Your son ended up swallowing
magnets. That's what it
magnets.
was. Yes, somebody had posted a video. Their child swallowed a coin, and I thought, oh my gosh, how terrible! And then the next day, my son swallows magnets.
That's crazy. It's saying that there's less than a minute, and it's gonna.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a minute and a half. So in a minute and a half, Jerry, tell us what your plans are now. What are you going to be up to?
Yeah, so I'm putting together a mastermind group coaching thing. It's called Imaginarium Lounge. It's going to be $111 a month. And what it's going to be is I will be essentially lecturing once a week for about an hour and a half with Q&As afterwards. It will be a community of like-minded individuals who really want to dive deep. If you want to have a conversation with me and a conversation with other people who are like-minded and have fun and all those types of things, I highly recommend joining in on that. And if you're interested, just find me on Instagram at human.imagination, and I'll gladly have a conversation with you in the DMs and send you the link and all that stuff. That's very simple. I'm not a big website guy. I'm not a big digital marketer guy. I'm just like, yo, let's just make this easy and fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jerry. Everybody at home, you can follow us at 2 Coffee Club on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. So thank you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.